Welcome to Fulfilling This Belly Sting. A show dedicated to aligning a journey to a better mental health using the understandings of the ancient Norse. Join us each weekday morning at 7 a.m. Alaska time. Someone's little girl, daughter, sister, girlfriend, fiance, wife, cousin, mother, auntie, grandmother, great grandmother, elder, disappears, shattering, a family, a community, the world. There is something we can all do. Remember them. Like that.
God Morgan, happy Freyja's Day to you. Today, what a wonderful day. I love the goddess Freyja, for she is absolutely hands down my favorite goddess because she has an ability like none of the other gods and goddesses that can help us obtain and maintain our mental space. Before we get started today, I want to say talk to all of you who have liked, followed, and subscribed. If you haven't got a chance yet, please mash that button, like, follow, subscribe us on whatever platform you're watching, whether it be TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, any Streamlabs, or any of our audio platforms as well. Please like, follow, subscribe. It helps to get our message out even further by getting us into that algorithm. All right. As always, I want to give a huge shout out to my friends and family at New Reality TV at newrealitytv.com, a streaming channel available 24/7 on the internet with a plethora of different perspectives and different ways of looking at our spiritual journey that can help us obtain and maintain our mental space. Remember, our mental space is tied fairly closely to our spiritual. Whether we choose to acknowledge it, choose to embrace it or not, they're still linked at the most basic core. They're linked together. For those who may need to bend an ear, have someone else to listen, maybe some guidance and wisdom along the way, please visit my website, norsewhispers.com/coaching, and sign up. Let's start a dialogue. Let's communicate. Let's talk about what you could use to help yourself obtain or maintain that mental space. Well, good morning and welcome to Fulfilling This Belly Snake, which it translates to ancestral illumination. And it's a very important part of our lives, understanding what illumination really is. We speak and we hear about quite frequently this idea of enlightenment. Enlightenment, you see it all over the internet. What is that? This really comes down to the illumination, education, right? Illumination is simply energy that's passed to us that is intellect, that has a piece of knowledge that we can use to then obtain or maintain our mental space. Well, this morning, Freyja teaches us that we alone have the authority to move the energy at which we perceive our world. Everything we see is dictated by how we feel. Notice when we wake up in the mornings and we're just charged, we're ready for it. Maybe it's an exciting day, there's an exciting event going to happen today, and so we're really excited about that. Notice how everything kind of feeds that, and we maintain our excitement. Conversely, if we wake up on the wrong side of the bed and things are just not, right? Everything seems to feed that, right? So we're generating, or we seem to be generating this negative energy. Well, we're really not. If you were to take a picture, any picture, even the picture you're looking at from me, and you see all the different facets, some things may excite you, and you go, wow, look at that. That's really exciting. Other things may not, right? So, in much the same way, we view reality. If we're in a good mood and things are just going our way and life is full of sunshine and rainbows and all of the things that are always associated there, when we look at a scene, our brain naturally will pick out the positives within that scene. Now remember, your life, your existence, your whole physical existence is a frame by frame interpretation of all the experiences that we have in this lifetime. So think of each second of your day, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, as being a different frame, right? Poof, there it is. Poof, there it is. And we keep having these in series with each other. If you think about taking each of those frames and then dividing it into those things that we like and those things that we don't, okay, they're all in the same frame. Now, if our brain is kind of in a good mood and we're excited about life, when we're looking at that frame, our brain is going to automatically pick out the positives. It's going to pick out the things that bring us joy, right? Because we're in a good mood, we don't want to upset that. Our brain has a tendency following, even if you can go back to the most basic of things and say Newtonian physics, where we say, oh, things in motion tend to stay in motion unless acted upon by an equal or an opposite force, right? Well, in much the same way, so is your mood. Your mood is going to continue, and it's going to continue to seek out ways to maintain itself until an equal or opposite force is acted upon it, i.e. we see something that really pushes us to the other end of that emotional energy spectrum. So remember, your eyes, they're seeing frame by frame by frame by frame. And it's our mood or our emotional filters that are going to kind of dictate what we see within those frames. If, for instance, we are depressed, maybe, or angry, or frustrated, or disappointed, whatever, as we observe reality unfolding, our brain naturally will be drawn to those more negative things. Our brain is going to try to encourage us to maintain this kind of emotional state. It's a natural thing. Our brain will try to stay in motion as long as it can. And then you need an equal or an opposite force to kind of act on it to then kind of change directions. So in much the same way as we would have something bad, perceived bad, happen to us that alter us from the good to the bad, so too can we act on the bad to make it good. That power lies within each of us, each one of us. So all we simply have to do is change our perspective. the way we're looking at things. And we have that power. Now, over the series of these morning shows, and even some of the Sporgsmalls, we've spoken at length about your thought process, how it works, right? So we're going to take in these experiences, these snapshots of reality, and we're going to take in those experiences. We're going to process them through whatever sensory input, whether it be we heard something, we saw something, we smelled something, we tasted something, or we touched something. We're going to bring those in. The sixth one, I always forget. The sixth one is, of course, we imagined something. Now, a lot of people don't realize this, but imagination, that conjuring up of imagery or something within the mind based on memories, can have just as a powerful effect as our physical sensory input. We can imagine ourselves in the same situation that we would find ourselves using our physical sensory input. So imagination is a very powerful tool. Now it kind of has the potentiality of being in either camp, whether we perceive it as being not necessary or we perceive it as being necessary. So it kind of, well, we have to remember that right and wrong, good or bad, is not this universal thing. It is regional and it is individual. Each individual has their interpretation of what they perceive to be good or bad. This is why a lot of people ask me, Mark, why do good things happen to bad people? Well, good things don't happen to bad people, and bad things don't happen to good people. What happens is something happens. It's how it's perceived. That's then the kind of divider, if you will. So think about it this way. The things that happen, we may observe, we may experience, and that experience for us may seem, oh my gosh, that's so horrible, that's so bad, that's so terrible. Whereas the person who's experiencing it directly, or some other person who may experience the same moment, the same event, may perceive it very differently. They may perceive it as being okay, or even, hey, all right, that was a great thing. So our perception is based almost purely on our imagination. There is, in many cases, perception is simply an interpretation of the reality which is presented to us. Right, wrong, or indifferent. We interpret that. We get to decide what we see that event as, whether it's perceived as, in our minds, as bad or good. And remember that definition that you just came up with is for you, not for the other people around you. So if you all experience a car accident, you may see it as a horrible thing. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Boy, that was terrible. Oh my goodness. Whereas the person experiencing it in the car that when it crashed may see it very differently, right? The other people involved in the accident may perceive this event very differently. And we have to remember that, because this goes for everything. Everything about our reality we interpret based on our values, our perception, our experiences, which may be different than all of the people around us. So this really goes to understanding energy and the motion of energy. Now remember, as I said in the beginning, we're getting these snapshots every day, every nanosecond of every day. We're getting these hundreds of millions of experiences. Now, you may think that nothing's going on and you're looking out your window, or maybe you're not even looking out the window, you're looking at the wall. These are experiences happening. They're stacking, or they're not even stacking, they're being processed through your mind. Now, remember, you have imagination that's going to come into play there too, whereas we have six senses. really that are processing through the brain at the same time. They're going to come through this emotional filter, as you may recall. They're going to come through the emotional filter. Emotional filter is going to drop it into the well of the self. The well of the self will decide, based on our values, our core values, what this means. Our receptacle, the bottom of the well of the self, will then release biochemistry into the brain, or into the bloodstream, which will eventually wind up in the brain. The brain then interprets that energy that now, as the biochemistry comes back into the processing unit, it's going to convert it back to bioelectricity. This will be processed through what is my ancestors refer to as the sheath of the truth. And this is, of course, your per se bandwidth as to what emotional energy you can take. What does this mean, right? So we're going to create emotional energy. This emotional energy will be processed through this sheath of the truth. At the end of that sheath comes the realization of what the energy means. This is remember the comparison. That, of course, we evaluate our composition of what the biochemistry is, and we decide based on what we've learned throughout our lifetime of emotions, what this is, and now how should I feel? We get that, and then we hand everything off to the gate, or the me gate, I call it. And the me gate, of course, allows us that one opportunity to say, I don't want to go down that road. This is the generational snap, where we're going to say, we've always treated this as anger and frustration, so I'm gonna violently react. We have a choice right there at the me gate, where we can say, no, I'm not subscribing to that. I am instead going to do this other thing, whatever that is. Now, as we make that change, we're going to apply energy, a particular energy, to that experience, to that momentary experience, which is then stored in our memories. Our memories, of course, is shared with our spiritual self, and most importantly, as we get right into storing this memory, we're going to reset our emotional filters, clear the water or murky the water, whichever applies, within the well of the self. We're going to alter the space within the aura, and we're going to kind of move into our next experience. The brain is constantly processing these experiences. So we have a lot of energy that are going to process simultaneously. Now, a lot of this energy has kind of two pieces. I'm going to take a real quick break. When we come back from break, I want to talk about these two processes of what we're going to do intrinsically with this energy. So we'll be right back after this short message.
In the air. The time is now.
We're all waking up.
We're waking up.
We're all waking up.
It's all shifting.
New vibrations.
It's you.
It's you.
It's me.
It's all of us.
Together.
A new time.
A new day.
A new energy.
A new energy.
New reality.
Awaken with us.
Awaken with us.
Awaken with us.
newrealitytv.com.
Welcome back. Thank you for taking that quick break with us. I hope you've got something from that momentary break. I hope you've got a little bit of clarity in the mind. We're talking about those two things that we're going to use this energy for. Now, we have two main reasons that we're going to generate energy. One, intrinsic, the other, extrinsic. Extrinsically is simply the energy that we're going to push out to others. We emit energy all the time. Energy that can be used by other entities around us for a multitude of reasons, or a multitude of ways, whether they be in physical form or not. So we're emitting energy, and this emission of energy typically is emotional energy. So it's charged in such a way that when other people around us, with other entities around us, receive this energy, it's kind of charged with one energy or another. right? So it's emotional energy that we're pushing out. At the same time, we're also using energy intrinsically. Your body is in a constant state of healing. Remember, from a biological standpoint, you're in a constant state of change. Whether that be all the cells splitting and maintaining, we're going to we're going to grow new cells. Much of who you are will be changed out in a fairly short period of time. We're going to change out a lot of these cells, and they'll be flushed from the system, and we're going to replace them with new, exciting new cells. We're repairing ourselves constantly, and that requires energy, right? So a lot of times we talk about, well, eating healthy and being healthy and doing these things, because that's going to promote energy within the self. So we're pushing energy through our system. In addition, when we touch something, boom, and we kind of, that process of getting the touch from wherever we've made contact, all the way through all the nerves, all the way up to the brain, for the brain to recognize that we've done that touch. That requires energy. Now, a lot of times we may talk about metabolism and all of those technical science words that are talking about the movement of these forms of energy within the system. This is the bioelectricity we're talking about when we're talking about moving energy through the system. It's this bioelectricity, and it's a natural function of your body. Now, sometimes those transmissions, if you will, may get interrupted. Notice, for those of you who may have damage to your nerves, or to maybe you've done had a certain diet which alters the nerve or the transmission of the nerves. There are some other mind alteration, drinking, smoking, all of these things can alter the transmission of these energies from the point to the brain and then back. So all of this, your biological body requires energy to work, to just function, whether it be your intrinsic processes that are within the body, whether it be healing, growing, maintaining your physical form. From a biological standpoint, it is this energy that we're generating that allows us to do that. Now, it happens 24/7 without us thinking about it. That stuff is always happening. So we have this energy constantly within the system. Now, we can direct that energy through our focus of our mind. We can actually say what we're going to use that energy for. Now, when I was a boy, my great-grandparents would explain the process of how the universe sends energy to me. And they compared me to a leaf on a tree. And this leaf connected to a twig, which connected to a branch, which connected to a bigger branch, which connected to an even bigger branch, which connected to the trunk, which then connected to the roots, which connected to the ground. Okay, so we have this path, me going out over a twig, branch, bigger and bigger and bigger, until we get to the trunk down to the roots down to the ground. Now, in ancient Norse legends, which is what my grandparents explained to me, in the ancient Norse legends, we have the great tree of the realms, of the center tree of life. Now, many different cultures throughout the world recognize this tree. In the Norse, we referred to this tree as Yggdrasil. And Yggdrasil, of course, had all 9 realms contained within its reach. Asgard at the top, Hell at the bottom, and all the other realms kind of filling in there in between, of course, with even Midgard obtaining some space. At the base of this great center tree of life, Yggdrasil, we had 3 roots. And these 3 roots went out and they drove down into 3 different wells. The main well that we're concerned with, for the legends that my grandparents explained to me, is the well of Erd. Now, the well of Erd has the three sisters, Norse sisters, and these three sisters watched over the well. That was their kind of thing. Now, what this well gave was a view of all of experience, of all of reality. And the way it did that is, as the root dived into the well, into the water, to draw water to provide sustenance for itself, it reflected into the water all of the experiences of all of the life forms throughout all 9 realms. Okay, so all 9 realms' experiences, remember, our memories are connected to our spiritual brain. The spiritual brain is now connected, this long roundabout path, to this well. All right, and so our experiences are reflected in the water of the well. This was really important for the Norse sisters, who had kind of this role to play in the cosmos of things, in that they decided, when spiritual entities bonded to a physical form, Erd, the eldest of the 3 sisters, would decide how long, she didn't decide, she would tell you how long this bond is going to last, how long your physical life will be. Now, many of us don't remember that number because we're so excited about bonding to a physical form and gaining these experiences that we may kind of gloss over that bad boy and get on to what we're trying to do. And then we're going to live our dash. Now, you're going to hear me say dash quite a bit. What is the dash? Well, the dash is that little line that's between your birth year and your death year. Okay? That dash is up to you. You're the one that gets to drive. There is no other dictating force. You are in charge of how everything is interpreted, understood, processed from birth to death. At our death, when our spiritual self departs the physical form and we ascend back into the spiritual realm, according to the Norse, we would go before Skald, Skald being the middle of the 3 sisters. Skald would then review a tapestry sewn of your life of emotional responses to the events that have occurred in your life. You've responded somehow. And she's going to kind of review that and look at what hall that you will reside in for eternity, or until Ragnarok, where we will all kind of come back to life to fight the last final battle. The tapestry is sewn by the littlest of the 3 sisters, or the youngest, I should say, and her name is Verdande. Now, Verdande's mission in life is to make sure that she sewed a tapestry of your life. This tapestry never shows the events that are occurring. It never says we conquered whatever, we did this other thing. It doesn't show that. What it shows is how we responded emotionally, how we reacted to these particular events. Did we act with authenticity, or did we fall into this false pretense and try to make things up as we went? All right, this creates a gap, another show altogether. But what this whole process shows is that we have an energy connection between the self and the rest of existence, all of everything. And Freyja, of course, today being Friday, teaches us that this energy, in much the same way that it goes out, comes in. And we can use this energy to heal our mind, our heart, and our physical form. We can bond this energy to ourselves to heal that which is within us that may be injured or broken. So today, as we celebrate Freyja's Day, the greatest of all the gods and goddesses, in my opinion, minus Odin, they're kind of tied. But Freyja teaches us that we are capable of moving this energy to a place of healing, to where we can heal ourselves. So for those of you who may be injured or hurting or even exhausted because we've been doing all this energy out, today is the day where we're going to kind of refocus, bringing that energy back to the self to promote healing. Healing in both the body and certainly within the mind. So today, take some time. Remember, you are important. You have a value. You are so important in this world, in this existence. Explore who you are. Learn this energy and how it can help you to grow, and most importantly, how it helps us to heal. All right? So today, Freyja's Day, take some time for you. All right? Do that for me. All right, if you haven't had a chance, please visit my website, norsewhispers.com. There you can find out all about me, my shows, my message, my teachings, everything there is to know about me. And if there isn't there, by all means, at the bottom to the left, you'll find a big orange button to ask me a question. Let's talk. Let's get a dialogue going. And we will make sure that we get the right information up there. All right? My friends, I wish you the very best weekend. We will see you again on Mani's Day, when we will talk about the control of this and making sure that you are on the path that works for you to bring you happiness and joy. All right? Love and light, my friends.
You're watching Fulfillina's Belly Snake, a special production of Whispers of the Norse. Brought to you by the Alaska Wolf Hefnar in South Central Alaska. Guidance and wisdom, courtesy of an ancient Celtic Norse shaman. Thank you so much for joining us today.